The war between Iran and Rome is one of the longest and most intense conflicts in human history, lasting over 700 years. However, the longest continuous war between these two superpowers was the war that began in 602 AD and lasted until 628 AD. This war not only severely weakened the two great empires of the time, the Sassanids and Byzantines, but also set the stage for major transformations that changed the course of history. In this analysis, we will examine the origins of this war, its different stages, long-term consequences, military tactics, and its cultural, religious, and economic impacts. 1. Historical background of the war. 1.1 The long-standing rivalry between Iran and Rome. Before this war, Iran and Rome had centuries of military and diplomatic conflicts. Both the Sassanids and the Byzantines saw themselves as heirs to great civilizations, and their struggle for control over trade routes, key cities, and strategic territories kept them locked in fierce battles. 1.2 The role of assassination and coup in starting the war. One of the main factors leading to this war was a bloody coup in Byzantium. The Eastern Roman Emperor, Maurice, had close ties with Iran and had even reinstated Khosrau II on the Persian throne after a coup. However, in 602 AD, Phocas overthrew Maurice and brutally executed him. Khosrau II, who saw Maurice as an ally, used this event as a pretext to declare war on the Eastern Roman Empire. 1.3 Internal conditions of the Sassanid and Roman empires. Before the war. Before the war, both empires faced unique internal challenges. Iran. Despite Khosrau II's victories, heavy taxation and the costs of previous wars had led to public dissatisfaction. The nobility was also concerned about the king's growing power, causing internal strife that weakened Iran. Rome. After Maurice's assassination, Phocas ruled with brutality, leading to widespread dissatisfaction among commanders and elites. The Roman army was also in a weakened state, with large portions of its territory vulnerable to invasion. 1.4 The role of diplomacy and espionage in the war's outbreak. During the Iran-Rome Wars, diplomacy and intelligence played crucial roles in shaping the conflicts. Byzantium constantly sought alliances with Iranian border tribes and states, such as the Khazars and Arabs, to keep Iran engaged on multiple fronts. On the other hand, the Sassanids used espionage to create unrest within Roman territories. 1.5 The role of religion in the war. Religion was a major factor in Iran-Rome relations. The Byzantine Empire, as a Christian state, saw itself as the protector of Christianity and often justified its wars with Iran on religious grounds. In contrast, the Sassanids supported Zoroastrianism and at times imposed restrictions on Christians within their domain. The Persian conquest of Jerusalem in 614 AD and the removal of the True Cross to Iran further escalated these tensions. 2. Different phases of the war. 2.1 Early Persian victories. 602-617 AD. In the early years of the war, the Sassanids achieved significant victories. The Persian army, led by great generals such as Sharbaraz, Shahin, and Sharazma, managed to capture vast Roman territories. In 603 AD, the Battle of Dara resulted in a crushing defeat for the Roman army. In 610 AD, Phocas was overthrown, and Heraclius took power in Rome, but the change did not immediately impact the war. In 611 AD, the city of Antioch fell, and its population was taken captive. In 614 AD, the Sassanids conquered Jerusalem and took the True Cross as a trophy back to Persia. In 616 AD, the Persians invaded Egypt, dealing a severe blow to the Byzantine economy. By 617 AD, the Sassanid army had advanced to the gates of Constantinople. 2.2 Heraclius's counteroffensive. 622-628 AD. The new Roman emperor, Heraclius, decided to launch a counteroffensive. He rebuilt his army and struck at the heart of Sassanid territory. Heraclius launched attacks into Armenia and Azerbaijan. In 626 AD, the Persians, in alliance with the Avars, attempted to besiege Constantinople, but the attack failed. In 627 AD, the Battle of Nineveh occurred, one of the most crucial battles in history. Heraclius then advanced toward Ctesiphon, the Sassanid capital. 2. 3. The fall of Khosrau I and the end of the war. 628 AD. After suffering heavy defeats, the Sassanid court plunged into chaos. Khosrau II was overthrown and executed by his son, Kavad II. Kavad, now in power, was forced to sign a peace treaty with Byzantium in the same year, ending the war. 3. Economic, social, and cultural impacts of the war. 3.1 A war-ravaged economy. This war placed an enormous financial burden on both empires. The Sassanids had to impose heavy taxes on their people to finance the war effort. Meanwhile, Rome debased its silver coinage to fund military expenses, leading to inflation. 3.2 The role of women in the war. Women played crucial roles in both empires, including supplying troops, nursing the wounded, and even leading local defense forces in besieged cities. The war from 602 to 628 AD was one of the most significant and decisive conflicts in history. Although Rome ultimately emerged victorious, both empires were so weakened that they could not withstand the rise of Islam. This war serves as an example of how prolonged conflicts between great powers can ultimately lead to their mutual exhaustion and decline.